So good morning, all. Morning. And welcome to what's the start of a new chapter for Roswell Park and the communities, especially the communities around us here in the Fruit Belt and the African American Heritage Corridor. Here at 907 Michigan Avenue, the past and future will come together in a very meaningful and impactful way. Many of you here today guided us as we crafted the vision for the facility we are breaking ground on today, our community outreach and engagement building. We have had a community outreach and engagement effort. It's a part of our mission, always has been. It's a big part of our NCI designation. But it's always been in the hospital, in the facility. And in COVID, how did you even get there to talk to them? Here are these community individuals, but access, and even without COVID, going through Roswell, finding and navigating. So what a novel concept to have our community engagement effort in the community. It's incredible. So for years, our hardworking Center for Outreach and Engagement team managed to reach tens of thousands of Buffalonians and Western New Yorkers through community events and sites around the country or around the state for reducing cancer burden for our most vulnerable populations. Before the pandemic, most of this work was done in the community. And as I said, during the pandemic, we couldn't have those events. And so we couldn't have the outreach to our community. Roswell Park and our community outreach and engagement team needed an alternative front door, somewhere to engage, to learn, and to have a conversation about eligibility for screening. My nose is running. 907 Michigan will help us tackle issues around health equity more deeply and more effectively. This isn't COVID. Well, you have to say it these days. You know, you got a little sniffle and everybody's looking at you like, Anyway, so the vision for this site here is all thanks to a number of folks. First, we must give credit to Governor Kathy Hochul. She supported this project from the very beginning and included funding for this site in our 2023 executive budget. Yes, thank you. And then a thank you to our state Senate and Assembly members who secured and approved the funding in the final budget. You guys, I'm so excited. And obviously Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes and Senator Kennedy. And you know, the other thing is that, and this isn't in any of my written remarks, is this house, this historic house, has been sort of the subject of some controversy for 10 years, maybe? Yes. And before my time, there were notions to either tear it down, put a parking lot there, do all kinds of stuff that was just not the right thing to do. And so that's what's even more exciting, because we're saving this house. Who knew? This was like the siding on this house. You know, the original siding. If you remember, it had some of that, the siding you buy at Lowe's. That siding was from when the house was originally built. So it's going to be spectacular. So I'd also like to thank Mayor Brown. He's been wonderful in getting all this going, because it takes a lot of coordination to do these things. He's represented here today, couldn't be with us, by Lisa Hicks. And Council President Darius Pridgeon for their support. Thank you so much. It really took a huge effort. It's not easy to do this stuff, you know, city approvals. There was some strips of land that the city, we needed the city to give to us or donate to us, and so it really took, there's so many people that spent so much time in really making this happen. But today we also must give thanks to our community stakeholders and neighbors who played an important role in the preservation, design elements, and function of this project. Yes, thank you. Without these supports, this really wouldn't have happened. You know, you have ideas, you want to do things, but it's hard. And, you know, folks have their own ideas about what something should look like, how should we go forward. But this was really a time when we all came together, and I think we all now agree on what we're doing here today, which is even more exciting. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ben Kenshaw and the members of the Fruit Belt Coalition for their incredibly important input and ideas. I'm also grateful to Lorna Peterson and Ms. Veronica Nichols, along with members of the Preservation Buffalo Niagara for their advocacy and input. Wouldn't have happened without you, so thank you. And also thank Terry Alfred. Love you, Terry. And the leadership of the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor for their partnership and dedication to the entire community we all serve. We're thankful for the support of generous donors for making this important project possible as well. It takes all of us, it takes a team. I'm grateful to so many people both inside and outside Roswell Park who shared expertise, insight, and passion. You know, we have some of the very best facilities people on the planet. I think Anthony Petrello is here somewhere. You're the man, Anthony. And we say thank you to all that are doing the critical work that will make this happen in this space. We've got several speakers today who want to share more details about this site and how important it is, the life-saving work that we can do even better when this site opens as a wellness and cancer education hub for our community. So we're going to start with Nakia Clark. Nakia is a senior community outreach and engagement manager. And then we have some friends who, alongside of Nakia, are going to say a few words. Dr. Ben Crenshaw, the president of the Fruit Belt Coalition. Terry Alfred, as I said, the executive director of the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor. So first, I turn it over to Nakia.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. It is such an honor to be here today representing our community outreach team. So I stand here representing our entire community outreach team, over 30 people, 30 staff members, and all of those who will be doing the community-focused work from this site. We all know, and as many of you know sitting here, that to have the most effective community outreach engagement, we have to be where? In the community, So this is providing that spot, that location for us to be in the community. We know that our community outreach and engagement work needs to remain focused on the cancer burden affecting our Black, Hispanic, Latinx, Indigenous, and underserved communities. There's so many persistent disparities in incidence and mortality rates of lung, breast, prostate, and colorectal cancers in Western New York, and more specifically in certain zip codes, and the zip code that we're sitting in right now. In this zip code and in the neighborhoods, it still remains. From the 907 building, from this site, we will ramp up our efforts to focus on cancer education and navigation to screening. We'll offer things like education programs that are led by our wonderful Witness Project and Esperanza Evita that have been leading for years the cancer education and navigation to screening for breast and cervical cancer. Our Lung Air program, we know that lung cancer is affecting our neighborhoods, our communities, this area, and so we have the Lung Air program that'll be housed at this site, and also colorectal cancer education programs as well, with, again, the navigation to screening, which is key. We'll have health education specialists available to answer questions about prevention, cancer, to help you assess your cancer risk and your eligibility for screening. And then also another wonderful new addition is our financial empowerment and coaching and financial wellness counseling services. Because we know that finance, wealth, and health go hand in hand, right? So we're gonna offer that here. And these services are gonna be offered for free, of course, on weekends, drop-in hours, after hours. We wanted to make it totally accessible to the community. This community space will be available for free, again, on weekends and after hours to host community meetings. So we want it to be used by the communities for community meetings, yes. For trainings, for focus groups, for community-based support groups. We do have wonderful local cancer support groups that serve minority communities, some of the only of its kind in Buffalo, but they don't have a home. So they'll be able to have a home here. Exercise and nutrition classes, and a host of multicultural arts, music, and small group events. I'm just so excited to have a space that is easily accessible again for the community. It allows for relationships and our partnerships to be enriched, and nothing compares to having a personal interaction with someone. We can Zoom all day, But as soon as you can greet somebody, to speak with them, to give them a hug, to help counsel them, to answer questions face to face, there's nothing that compares to that. This space also allows for a community resource library of educational materials on not only cancer topics, but also other services the community has expressed an interest in and a need in, like mental health services and awareness, diabetes education, heart disease, tobacco cessation, and obesity. I can hardly stress enough how important this work is and how important it is that we have the right space and the right setting to host our events and outreach. Thank you all to her who are here that have helped behind the scenes, that have given their suggestions, words of encouragement for years, making this process and come to fruition. Because we're here today now, so I'm so thankful for that. And thank you for all who are helping to guide and support this project. Thank you.
Ben, please.
Had to get rid of the coalition mascot there. I was just looking out the back window. The coalition office, believe it or not, is right behind us. And I was looking and I didn't see where it was being set up at. I said, I'm early. I'll just take a walk around there and see. And it was too late to take them back. But anyway, I'm so grateful to be here. The Fruit Belt Coalition has endeavored for 2 decades to be a viable part of the community. And Roswell, as you well know, is also a part of what makes a difference. Just so if you didn't know, the history of the grounds right around here is so significant. There was a place called the Copeland House that used to exist way back when the German settlers lived in the Fruit Belt. And right on these grounds, a couple feet behind where the property is going to be, that used to be the well that used to serve the whole community. That's where this community got its water from. So that's even significant spiritually wise, because what happens, certain things happen spiritually over an area. So what you're doing here is just fostering what has always been done. This has been the place where the community could come and get served, get fresh water, and to be able to feel like a community, and it's reestablishing itself in this century right here on this ground, right where the little coalition office is. And now we're able to expand and have more room to do things in the community to serve them. So I'd like to, at this time, take my hat off to everyone that I'm looking in the front row for endeavoring. We've been crying for something nice and fresh in the Fruit Belt, and we're finally getting it. And the Fruit Belt says, thank you. Thank you. Finally, thank you. Yes. We will cherish and use this to the benefit to promulgate a good source or a good sense of community in the Fruit Belt, to be able to have a place to convene, to do things, even during the summer when we would have liked a real close spot to do COVID shots and whatever. Now we can do it. We can do it. We serve the children even at summertime and Easter time. We have a nice, beautiful place that's coming up, and we are appreciative. So from the community of the Fruit Belt, I say thank you. The coalition say thank you, and we will promulgate everything and anything that will perpetuate a healthy way of life in the Fruit Belt. Thank you.
Good morning. It's good to be back home. And when I say back home, I'm a product of the Fruit Belt East over here. So I grew up in the shadow of Roswell Park. And then I also worked here at Roswell Park. So I cut my teeth here at Roswell Park, in particular with those colleagues that I see out here that now constitutes community outreach and community engagement. So it's always to see my family out there as well. Great things are happening in Michigan Street. I say that again. Great things are happening in Michigan Avenue, right? I always like that call and response, Pastor. I see these pastors. So further south to this special space is sacred ground that you all are aware of, the Michigan Street Baptist Church, the Reverend J. Edward Nash House, the Colored Musicians Club and Museum, Waffle Radio, and the Black Radio History Collective. And we're in the midst of development down there on the south. So it's always pleasing when you come down further north and you see development happening all the way with the affordable housing that's going up, and in particular here. We applaud, on behalf of the commission, we applaud Roswell Park for taking this unique and very creative and bold move in repurposing an old structure here. This, I understand this house is over 100 years old, and it's emblematic of homes in and around that still exist in the Fruit Belt and other parts of the east side. So we applaud Roswell Park for repurposing and taking something from our past and enhancing it for our future and for our future generations. That's my business on the far southern side. I like to sort of focus on some analogies. So when we talk about beacons of hope, that means a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to a number of different groups. So in the turn of the 19th century, individuals traveling from Europe and other parts of the world, as they came into Buffalo, or folks working on the docks down here, the first image they saw is the oldest existing structure in Buffalo. It's the lighthouse in the Erie Basin. And that represented a hope for people that were looking for opportunity in this community. When you look at the Michigan Street Baptist Church, the last station of the Underground Railroad, served it as a beacon of hope for freedom seekers seeking opportunities and freedom that we all deserve, right? Many of which, hundreds of thousands of them, probably walked right down this street, further north to what's commonly known as Roswell Park, where they endeavored to cross the Niagara River with the hope of freedom there. So when I look at this structure, it offers another symbolism of as a beacon of hope for so many thousands of individuals that are with us now and those future generations that are yet to come, who will be the most vulnerable and the most at risk to such diseases as cancer. So this will serve as a beacon of hope in terms of promoting health and wellness and in terms of saving lives. So again, we applaud Roswell Park for taking this action for a number of populations that so desperately need it and will continue to need it. So again, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Terry. You contributed so much when you were at Roswell. We miss you, but you're doing much bigger work now, so very proud. So thank you for coming today. So now I'd like to welcome up some of our biggest champions here to say a few words. I also want to acknowledge Pastor Jones. He's a wonderful friend to Roswell Park. We've done a lot of wonderful things together, and we'll continue to do things. So thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. But first, we're going to hear from Congressman Higgins.
Thank you very much, Candace, Nakia, Ben, Terry, all of my colleagues in government at the state, local, and federal level that come together to support this storied institution. Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center is known not only in Buffalo and Western New York, but throughout the nation and throughout the world, and the home of many, many firsts in cancer treatment over 150 years. There was a way that you could deal with cancer historically by burning it out through radiation, by poisoning it out through chemotherapy, or by taking it out through surgery. And a technology that was developed, CAR T-cell process of immunotherapy, was really established a long, long time ago. It was brought back to the fore most recently. And it's an extraordinary process that allows the cancer doc, the oncologist, to remove the blood cells, the white blood cells from the body, re-engineer them, reintroduce them to the body to both find and fight cancer. The progress that's been made thus far is extraordinary. It is very significant that Roswell and their community engagement takes their community engagement to the neighborhood. Because when you look at the history of cancer, it's all about early detection. Less than 10% of all cancer deaths are attributed to the original tumor. It's when it advances, when it metastasizes, when it grows to another organ that you need to live, that it becomes lethal. Lifestyles, we've heard about lung cancer environmentally, but also through smoking. You could eliminate 40% of all cancer deaths by eliminating smoking. So these community outreaches are critically important relative to enhancing the effectiveness of cancer care, not only in Buffalo, but what happens here makes it to the nation and to the world because of the extraordinary work that Candace Johnson and her professionals do every single day. I'm proud to be associated with this community. I'm proud to be associated with this institution. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Congressman. I next want to welcome Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes to the podium.
Thank you, and good morning to you all. It's a great opportunity to be here. I am just excited about the potential of what's going to happen here. I want to give God all the glory for it because I remember, even before Candace was the president and CEO, Roswell did want a parking lot here. But I also remember setting up the Heritage Corridor, which called for legislation in the state of New York. And one of the things that the Heritage Corridor required the Michigan Street group to do was to do a master plan. And so they hired people from across the nation, did an amazing master plan. And one of the things the master plan said is no more demolitions on Michigan. No more demolitions on Michigan. And so even when my friend Candace became the CEO, I still had to say, no more demolitions on Michigan. And so I am delighted that Roswell has used its capacity to deliver to this community in a new way by bringing Nakia and her folks over to do outreach in this building and to expand it so that it can serve other community purposes. This is how we're supposed to do things. How we did things in the past is, it's in the way, let's just take it down and start new. No, we don't need to start new. In fact, every time we start new, we're sending some people backwards. When we use what we have, we're sending everybody forward. And so I am delighted to be here. I am joined by my grandson. We're excited about this whole process. And I'm just excited about the fact that we are going to provide outreach to the community so they don't always have to come to us. We can be right here. They can come right here. I have said this about every service that government delivers. You shouldn't always have to go somewhere else to get what you need. Why can't you get what you need in your neighborhood? You can get what you need in your neighborhood right now. And that's the way things should be. And thank you, Candace. Thank you, your entire staff. And thank you for this amazing architectural team. Sanubi, I saw their designs, and it's just phenomenal how they use the sun and the trees and everything to make this place just as beautiful as it's going to be. And I cannot wait until there is actually a ribbon cutting. So thank you again, and to God be all the glory for all the great things he has done, including allowing visions to come to reality.
Senator Tim Kennedy.
Thank you, Doctor. Good morning, everybody. It is great to see everybody here this morning. I want to start where my leader, our leader, the majority leader, left off. To God be the glory. She has been an incredible champion for our community, an incredible leader, not just in Albany, but all across this great state. I want to recognize our Congressman, Brian Higgins, our great city council president, Bishop Pridgeon. Thank you. Pastor Pridgeon, Bishop Pridgeon. Pridgeons are in the house. Pastor Jones, thank you for your leadership. Nakia, thank you for your leadership in the community. The architect, thank you for your vision. Howard Johnson, our county legislator, thank you so much for being here and your continued leadership. Mayor Byron Brown, who couldn't be with us, want to recognize him. And of course, we would not be here without the leadership of Dr. Candace Johnson and her amazing team over at Roswell, doing so much for our community and really taking Roswell's leadership to the next level. And to Terry Alford and the leadership of the African American Heritage Corridor, what a tremendous partnership we have created in Buffalo, showing that we can incorporate our incredible history with the vision for our future. That's what this is all about here today, taking a home built in 1878, keeping it as a part of the fabric of this amazing Fruit Belt neighborhood, and making that part of the vision of really celebrating who we are as an entire city of Buffalo, an entire community. Roswell is really taking it to the next level and bringing the community together under the leadership of Dr. Candace Johnson. The role that Roswell played throughout the pandemic in embracing the community and acting as the center of healthcare for the community with the vaccination care that they provided, and really showing that, bringing the community to the forefront of the leadership at Roswell is nothing new. This is just another part of that vision moving forward. And as we talk about bringing in the leadership and the neighbors and helping to find solutions to the health disparities that exist, Roswell is now at the forefront of that. And for years, we have known about these terrible health disparities in communities of color, not just here in Buffalo, but across the nation, that were only exacerbated by the pandemic. And now as we find our way out of this pandemic and we bring our community to the next level, we want to make sure that we're closing those disparities wherever we can. I want to recognize again my colleague in government, Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes, the partnership that we have down in Albany, helping to bring funding to amazing initiatives like this. It couldn't be done without the partnership of Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes and Governor Hochul, as has been mentioned. So I'm proud and honored to join you here today to play a role in continuing to make good things happen here in the Fruit Belt and all throughout the city of Buffalo. Thank you.
We're almost there. So the next two speakers will be Council President Darius Pridgeon and then our Erie County Legislator Howard Johnson.
I'll be very brief because the rain is upon us. Roswell is known for helping people, and people sometime who have seen better days and trying to get them back to a place of seeing better days. And that's what's happening here. They've taken that same philosophy of neighborhoods that have seen better days and bringing it back so that they see better days. Going into the hospital can be intimidating, especially when you're dealing with the unknown. Going into the neighborhood is welcoming. I'll say this, Roswell, doctor, you kept your commitment. You did not bully your way into this community. You did not bully your way around this community. You worked with this community. And the reason that Ben and others are here today is because you kept your commitment. Thank you, Roswell, for a welcoming place. Thank you.
I'll also be brief as well. Saturday, Roswell held a community fest at the library, and I went and sat in on a conversation that they had in the auditorium, and I think his name is Adam Sumlin. He came in and he started to talk about prostate cancer, and he talked about the disparities between African American males and white males. And what he ruled out was, he said it wasn't dieting, he said it wasn't nutrition, he said it was knowledge, education. So I want to thank Roswell for putting together this piece right here so you can help to educate our community and educate those who are suffering from some of these things. Thank you.
And last, we saved the best for last because he's going to tell us about this wonderful building. This is Rashawn Sanubi, a partner at Young Wright and the architect for this project.
Yes.
And it's really remarkable.
Thank you, everyone. As Candace mentioned, I am Rashawn Sanubi. I'm a partner with Young and Red Architectural. On behalf of Young and Red Architectural, I want to thank Roswell for the opportunity to work on such an amazing and a valuable adaptive reuse project. As an architect and resident of the neighborhood, I understand and appreciate the functionality and the aesthetics of that are going to be so important for this community. The themes of this design revolve around resurrection, reconstruction, and reconnection. Resurrection. The design resurrects a 19th century telescoping home which has stood the test of time. The goal is to salvage as much of the existing facility as possible. Reconstruction. The design captures the thirst of the neighborhood redevelopment and reconstruction in the form of the building itself. Reconnection. The design reconnects the fabric of the site in an innovative way while being conscious and sensitive to the history and the scale of the surrounding neighborhood. The scope involves renovating the existing structure, which will be adapted to house offices and reception area. We were able to salvage most of the existing structural skeleton and exterior envelope. However, any deteriorated elements within the building, will obviously be removed and replaced. There's a small portion of the back of the building that unfortunately was beyond its useful life and beyond repair, so we have to reconstruct that. But the majority of the existing building we're able to keep. The addition, which will extend to the south, will house a large conference room and offices and a small kitchen. The structure of the addition will be wood frame with supplemental steel. The exterior finishes includes glazing on the west side to allow natural light to flood into the building, but at night it'll act as a beacon, and as through the light that'll come out of the building, it'll be like a glowing structure. The design calls for 4 exterior exposed columns, which we call our ribs, which extend from the west side of the addition. These columns act as a symbol of perpetual revitalization and reconstruction. In conclusion, we believe this design captures the aesthetics and symbolism of the revitalization this community deserves, while delicately resurrecting the history of the existing building while being sensitive to the surrounding neighborhood. So thank you so much.
We should do that again.